Hi guys, a very good morning to all of you. So my name is Naudi Jaisingh. So I'm first of all, thank you very much for inviting me for the I Inspire session. I think it's phase two by IYAP. So let me first introduce a bit about myself and let's have a chat. I guess today I have about 15 to 20 minutes about like let's talk about the topic for today. So before that, introducing a bit about myself. So I'm currently the president of ISAC Sri Lanka. ISAC is a youth organization that strives to achieve peace and fulfillment of humankind's potential. And also, I'm part of ISAC International for the term 2021 as the finance manager of ISAC International, which is based in Canada. Apart from that, I'm a graduate from University of Colombo. My education background is in mostly in statistics and computer science, as well as being a part of the National Youth Services Council um, for the past couple of years. Moving on to today, what we want to have an actually, because the theme is, I guess, inspire. So inspire is more of whatever I could share today to inspire you to take some kind of action in the future, so that we can make the community, make everyone here a better place. So what we're gonna more of inspire, I guess, today is on education, which is future of education, as well as talking a bit about the entire idea of digital divide. I think which is very relevant for today's context, and probably when you talk about education, this is not something new, right? So this has been a topic forever. So we talk about education every day, but probably because of COVID as well, uh, people started thinking a lot about like how education in the future would look like, and what kind of transformations that we would want to see in Sri Lanka as well. And of course, with a lot of people in lockdown and at home, we see a lot of changes in the education system and how people are adopting as well as moving forward. So I guess in a broader scale, since we have about 15 minutes, let's 15 20 minutes, I guess, we'll break it down into four parts. So mainly I would talk about four parts as of today, so that we can use the time that we have in order to like kind of get a perspective about this. So this is this is my perspective on future of education as well as the digital divide. So talking on the first point, I guess we should look at the current context and what kind of problems that we see in our education system every day as well. I think this is something that people already know, but then again, it's always good to have that kind of recall of, okay, this is that happening and how can we make it better. So the first thing is like we hear a lot about, okay, we went through university education, myself as well. We went through university education, but then again, like when you are going to the corporate world or the job market, or you are becoming an entrepreneur or anything of that sort, we always hear this complaint of, okay, they are not ready. Like they know all the theory, but they don't know how to practically implement it. Or then again, we talk about lack of soft skills. We hear the same complaint over and over again, and we see a lot of youth movements as well as universities do certain things to develop the soft skills, the kind of skills that they require for the corporate world, and maybe more of prepare them in order to be suitable for the industry. But then again, the problem still exists, right? So we still talk about the same problem over and over again. And so this is kind of one of the problems, setting out the tone for would the future of education should look like in the future. So starting that as my first point of this having not been prepared. So let's look at how our education system works right now, and what kind of the core problem that we have in our system. So if we go back years later, years ago, we would see, we know about the industrial revolution, right? We know about mass production of things. We know about factory productions. We know bulk production of goods of manufacturing. So this is something came with industrial revolution as well. So this is the entire concept of being specialized and like producing bulk, focusing on economies of scale. Things like this has been a priority since the Industrial Revolution. But moving fast forwarding in for today's context, we would see there's a lot of personalization happening. So if you even go for any of even social media, you see a lot of content that is personalized for you, that you want to know, that is personalized for your experience or your profile, I guess. But again, looking in that tone about our education system, the one of the biggest problems that we see is that still the education system that we have is based on this concept of industrial mass production. So if you see, we have a bulk of students, we put at least like thousands of students for a school or university, or whatever the education system, we put everything and we try to produce in a mass scale manner. So the kind of teachings, the kind of the knowledge that we want to uh, create on them is based on this mass production concept. But what happens is when they move out, so they have the school or university, whatever the education system, so we bulk put everyone in and we go through the fixed curriculum, whatever the kind of learnings that they have, and then we take them out. But what happens is when they are out of it, we have not considered about their uniqueness, because every person in this world is unique. They are different, and they have unique set of skills, talents, and qualities. So, but we completely ignore entirely on that, and then we put out, uh, we mass produce them. We mass produce, give them the knowledge, just try to give them knowledge and put them out for the market. So what happens is here, entirely people compete and they are not suitable for the industry because they are in a like mass scale production. So this is one of the core ideas. So in the future, moving in the future, how would education would look like is moving from a mass production to an individualized, customized, personalized education system. Because when you go through, and at least in the university system, when you go through a personalized experience, you are the kind of things that you learn, the mindset, your perspective becomes different. Okay, one of the biggest difference is you start looking at education as a way to solve problems. Because right now, we always think, okay, let's go for the institution, let's learn, then we go for the industry or entrepreneurship or your own company, and then we'll start solving problems. But what we need to change, that I see, is that we need to change that perspective in order to for people to think, for students to think, like, first let's think about the problem. Okay, these are the kind of problems that I want to solve in the future. These are the kind of problems that I want to address for the society. So when you think on that area, so you learn, your education comes with that background, because the kind of problems you want to solve is comes with naturally, in order to, like from your talents and skills combined together as well. So that is having that end goal of, okay, you're learning in order to solve a problem. You learning in order for a purpose. So that changes the mindset. That changes the perspective of learning. So that gives you more of a motivation. How people go through learning as well, because no one wants to just be told what to learn, what to do, when to learn, when to do everything as well. That is not how we are progressing in the future. So individualized approach is a massive change in terms of thinking, as well as the kind of people that we produce out of the education system. And of course, that will bring a lot of uniqueness for our country as well. But okay, thinking of that point as the second point, moving into the third point, is okay, moving from this mass production system to an individualized system, we have a bigger problem of then technology. Okay? Because what we can identify is that today we are at home, and of course, not a lot of people have access to online education, but still, suppose so at least people who are watching this right now, who has access to internet, as well as access to a device, are watching this right now. So I'm assuming, suppose you have access to online learning as well. So yes, there's a couple of people who are doing online learning. It is more or less in a personalized manner, I would say, like, because people, I see a lot of people taking different kind of learnings and taking different kind of courses and everything as well. But the problem here, uh, the kind of content that we have for education, for personalized education, that is for online learning, is not suitable or not ready, as a country. We are not ready for that. Why? Because if you see, like when we people think about online learning, people think about entirely converting a classroom through a camera to the device. Okay, so if we, it's not about just the textbook. Previously, it was on printed. Now it's on PDF. It's not about transforming, like digital transforming education. Or it's not about online learning, just about online learning. So the kind of content, so the kind of the teachings, everything has to be entirely different. That should be suitable. Because if we don't act quickly on this, we are losing the right for free education as well, because we see a lot of education being monetized as well. But then again, there's no problem in being monetized. But then again, if we don't act soon, we are because there's a lot of students, especially in school, who do not have access to these platforms and this infrastructure to learn it. So they are missing out as well. So uh, this is somewhere area that we really need to think about the kind of content that when we are moving into online education, that we have to deal with. So just looking at the looking and recapping at the points that I made. So we have a core problem of education being not like suitable for the industry, for all of that. The main reason, because uh, we don't think of the perspective of solving problems, and we do not give an individual approach for the students to learn in their manner. But then again, all of this is, maybe you can think it of at a university level, that okay, maybe this is not, I'm talking about like next month or like next year. This is a bit of a change management, as well as in the long run, something that we really need to think like moving our minds. But then again, the problems with having an individual approach, as well as having this like entirely uh, the concept of thinking about like looking at a problem and then trying to solve it, this needs a lot of technology. Um, and this brings to the my fourth point, especially what I want to highlight, is about digital divide. So when you think about digital divide, what it means is, I think probably after this as well, if you have not heard about it before, you can Google it and really study about it. That is very important, and that is something we, I think, immediately all the youth organizations as well as a lot of movements need to address as well. So the digital divide, it's a global problem as well. So that means like people, there's a divide between people who have access to digital infrastructure, digital technology, and people who don't have access to. If you look at like the context of Sri Lanka, at least 50% of people don't really have uh, proper access to internet, and even the people who have access to internet, 90% of them are using a mobile as a device. That means that's not really, I don't see a lot of learning that is happening. So we need to look at it in a perspective like how it's a very few amount of people that really has the true access in order for like online learning. So this is entirely about digital divide. But in order to solve this, I think there's a lot of things that we can discuss about how we can solve digital divide and what kind of mobilization of youth and different movements in order to solve this. But I think today I don't have the time to further discuss on that. But then again, I just want to, because start a conversation on digital divide. So to look into the idea of digital divide and how we can solve this problem in Sri Lanka as well. How we can mobilize and get together in order to solve this. We recently also saw a lot of articles also being published about digital divide, and because of sudden online learning, how the education system has been facing a lot of challenges as well. So moving forward, because consolidating all of the core idea that I want to highlight for today is, first thing is to relook at the entire concept of education, of from a mass production to an individualized production, individualized approach, and then from that again thinking in a solving problems, the manner of solving problems, rather than just okay, let's learn for 4 years, let's learn for 13 years in education, and then let's go out and then let's start solving problems. That's not the way in order for us to give a good educational experience for the people. And then converting in order to online platforms and online learning, it's not just simply using Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Google's or whatever the software. It's not just about infrastructure or something like that. There's a lot to do in order by creating content and things that are suitable for online learning. And I think we are at a good point, because if we use more of online, I guess, like use digital devices for learning, soon we can be more individualized and customized learning approach for many students in Sri Lanka. But then again, overall, looking all of that, that sounds really good, having online education, everything. That then we have the problem of digital divide. Just 50% of people have access to proper internet, and then from that also 9%. So that means there's huge problem that we need to address, because this gives a problem within the society as well. Because having these kind of problems really hinders the opportunity, and we are hindering the right for education as well. So I think that is where we really need to mobilize, drive the conversations, not just today. I think this is a good start. uh, we can start this conversation of how we can solve this problem of digital divide. And one final thing, because I'm already approaching towards my 20 minutes as well. So one final thing is looking at a step back, like looking at the wider picture. This is a lot of change management. So tomorrow, it's not just that, okay, we have to solve this. So everyone in Sri Lanka needs to have, every young person, student needs to have access to a laptop. Let's distribute laptops for everyone. And it's not a simple problem as that you can solve. But because this is a huge change management, there's a lot of social change that needs to happen. It's not just the devices. It's actually, I guess, 10% of the problem. There's a lot of social change. There's a lot of perspective change as well. There's a lot of onboarding that needs to happen in order to make this transition from the kind of education that we had for almost hundreds of years, in order to now changing towards a different approach. So this is massive change management. I think we collectively need to uh, put a thought and mobilize everyone, and drive the society in order for this change. Because if not, let's everyone goes and distributes laptops tomorrow. Is They don't see the purpose of the laptop. They don't see the why of this change. So tomorrow they will probably looking to sell this laptop when they don't have enough money. So that to in order to properly make this change management, we have to really think about how the society would react as well, and how we can onboard, because we have a lot of generations right now, in the context of Sri Lanka, as in the context of the world as well. But then again, we need to really think how we can get the purpose of this change, and really drive a movement within the society for that change. This should come from the society as well, for the betterment of everyone, and for the future of our country. So yeah, so mostly, in order to wrapping up things, this is where we are looking at the future of education, is in fundamentals, how we are thinking the core of education should change, and what it would look like when digital transformation gets combined together for a future of seeing an individual approach, which will solve a lot of problems of finding jobs, to starting up new companies, to all of this. So this is my more of my very surface level perspective of how the future of education should get directed towards. I guess a lot of people are starting, even from the government as well. So I guess everyone should come in together, as IYAP also taking action, inspiring people by starting on these conversations. So I guess everyone should get together and fight for this, and drive this discussion in order for a Sri Lanka moving towards a good education system, as well as no digital divide. So yeah, so that is mainly the kind of ideas that I wanted to give it to you today. So this marks my 20 minutes as well. So from this, I want to really thank IYAP for this opportunity for me to talk about this perspective of how the future of education should look like as well, and how we can start about solving this problem in this society, and move towards a better Sri Lanka. So that's from my side. So thank you very much for joining. I hope this would inspire you to take action and immediately drive this conversation towards education. Yeah. So have a nice day. Stay safe, and most importantly, follow the protocol, which is because people are resuming work, and I believe because all of us are now starting to go to work, and make sure you follow the protocol. Even from the simplest thing, if you are going for a bank, just make sure to take your own pen. Just don't go and take the pen at the bank how it used to be. Make sure you follow the protocol and be safe. and we take that responsibility as a responsible citizen of Sri Lanka. Thank you very much.